Do not ever let anyone convince you of the lie that there is such thing as an unadaptable book. There is no unadaptable book. There are only very limited imaginations. So let's get 5 minutes up on the board and talk Dune. The Dune novels carry the weight of thousands of years, spanning dozens of planets, and this movie succeeds in translating that weight into a level of awe that reminds us the power of cinema. This kind of storytelling is so long overdue. We have not had something like this since Lord of the Rings, so yeah, I'm pretty sure that Dune does have the power to save the world. So let's get into this a bit more. This is, first of all, a film for adults, okay? Kids' movies are all about good and evil. There's a thick, dark, clear line between that distinction. Most of cinema today lives by this binary. It's what Marvel works in. Life is nothing like that at all. It's great for kids, but life is about uncertainty. My review of The Wailing, I kind of talked about how that's what makes that movie great. Fear is the Mind Killer is the adult version of May the Force Be With You. And I'm not saying that Dune is just a good movie because it's a grown-up version of Star Wars. It succeeds in telling a story of mythic and epic proportions in a mature fashion that is rarely seen nowadays. And what we see with Dune is the magic that movies are capable of, and most studios don't have the guts to go anywhere near this type of storytelling. So I feel like as an audience, we need to wholeheartedly embrace this movie. In terms of it being a mythic and epic story, what I mean by that is that the story touches on so many aspects of any civilization. It talks about religion, spirituality, it talks about fate and destiny, it talks about good and evil, it talks about the difference between governance and tyranny. I love how in the Dune story it touches on how the state literally has the power to become a religion. And it tells a story that touches on all of those items, but it blends the boundaries between all of them, making it so that you don't exactly know where your loyalties should belong because everything is very complicated. But it does all of this while being a damn good time in the theater as well. The novel of Dune is such a strong foundation, but it's also thick as titanium, which is kind of why the old versions are a bit silly. But watching this movie, it is like a lightning bolt hits that foundation, and the thunderous crack that you hear is what you see on the screen. We have had several renditions of Dune in the past, but this really is the definitive one because it masterfully maps through this complex world using serious sci-fi. This masterful scale and the haunting design makes it feel like we do have a definitive voice on this scale of storytelling, and I think that we really, really need Villeneuve right now because we don't have that many. Villeneuve blends an art house sensibility with stories that inspire blockbusters, kind of like Christopher Nolan, honestly. There's the technical experimentation side that you normally just get from art house movies, but none of the boredom of an art house movie. And then you get the firm grasp on complex stories and characters that makes for great crowd pleasers. It does that without any of the boring, formulaic storytelling that kind of has defined blockbusters for the last few decades. Honestly, between Villeneuve and Nolan, Villeneuve might have a bit of the upper hand. His sense of epic scale is matched with a good sense of character, which Nolan kind of wavers on every now and then. I feel like Villeneuve's sense of humor also connects a little bit more than Nolan's. Look, I think the fairest critique of the movie was that it feels unfinished, and even though now that I'm reviewing this, we do know that we are going to get part 2, even if we didn't know we were getting part 2, I still love this movie. Honestly, to complain about it feels like a man who's leaving a jungle, hasn't eaten in months, he has his first steak, and he's complaining about the utensils. I'm not saying there's nothing to complain about in this movie, I'm just saying the goods are so good that they outweigh any frustrations that the movie brings with it. I think if studios follow suit with this type of storytelling, Dune will help save the world. Villeneuve talks about how the theatrical experience, again, like Nolan, is the only place in civilization right now that feels what communion used to be like in ages past. And you can't take part in the experience that you have in a theater at home. You just can't. And we need a new voice right now that sees the power of cinema and wants to constantly be using it to surprise the audience. We do not have a lot of that right now. And I do think that it's hurting culture that we don't have that it's going away so casually. Audiences love running with a complex story, and Hollywood rarely gives audiences that. So God bless Warner Brothers for making this one, for taking the risk in making this. Please sit through the credits when you watch this movie, even if you watch it at home. Thank you for everyone that was involved in creating something so magical, and thank you for pushing the greatest art form even further with Dune. It has pushed it farther than a movie has at this level in a while. So let me know your thoughts on Dune. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Is it overreacting to say that it's this important of a movie? Two quotes that stuck with me kind of thinking back to it were from Steven Soderbergh and Stanley Kubrick. Steven Soderbergh said once that the best investment a studio can make is an investment in talent. I'm very happy to see that Warner Brothers is doing that with Denis. And Stanley Kubrick, who said, if it can be thought or written, it can be filmed. Never, ever let anyone let you believe the lie that there is such thing as an unadaptable book. So thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to 5 Minute Critic for future updates on reviews and movie news.